Thank you for tuning in to Macroview Television and welcome to a brand new edition of Taiwan Outlook, the program that presents the people and their stories on Taiwan. I'm your host, Guo. This year, 2015, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China has selected 160 Taiwanese youth to be the international youth ambassadors to promote Taiwan internationally. On today's program, you get a chance to meet two of them. And to my immediate left, the first is Phoebe Bai, who was the vice captain of Group 7 of the International Youth Ambassador Exchange Program. Phoebe, welcome to our program.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here to represent my group members today. And I'm Phoebe Bai, Baide Chen. I'm currently studying finance department at National Central University right now.
Okay, and next to Phoebe is Joe Lee, who was the spokesperson for Group 7 of the International Youth Ambassador Exchange Program. Joe, welcome.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I'm Li Yichao, or Joe Lee in English. And I'm now studying in public administration in National Zhengzhou University.
Okay, good. And welcome to the two of you to our program today. And let me ask you, the two of you. The first question is the T-shirt. The polo shirt that you're wearing,
Yes.
of course, has the Republic, R.O.C. national flag on it.
Yes.
Is this something that, of course, given to you by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Was that the uniform that you wore to all the countries that you have visited?
Yes, this is one of our uniform, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs give us.
Okay,
yes.
Provided. And this is very nice. And then what was the reaction when the local people in Central and South America saw the uniform? Were they happy with it, or they have a lot of questions and things?
They will think it's very beautiful, and they might wonder what is this for.
Okay.
And then we will explain it's our flags, national flags.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And let's talk a little bit about the International Youth Ambassador Exchange Program. I mentioned that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has selected 160 Taiwanese youth. And you guys, both of you, belong to Group 7.
Yes.
And how many groups were there?
There are 10 groups.
10 groups, okay.
Yes.
So each group is about, what, 16 people?
16.
Okay, all right. And for Group 7, and Phoebe, you're the vice captain.
Yes.
And Joe, you're the spokesperson. Tell us a little bit about your respective responsibilities. For example, Phoebe, you're the vice captain. What do you need to do?
Actually, I mainly assist the internal affairs in our group,
Right.
and I also do some financial because I have to do some accounts because we have some budget and we have to use some money sometimes, and I have to do some financial budget.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm a manager of stage properties since we have a really huge stage performance.
Okay,
yes.
Good. And how about you, Joe? You're the spokesperson.
Yes, besides the spokesperson, I'm also in charge of the media and multimedia of our group. So all the time I need to take a lot of pictures and also make some videos to record all the memories of us.
Okay.
And as a spokesperson, I need to, in the 4 countries we visited, I need to face the media or sometimes just to present our performance to some important officials.
Of course.
Yes.
And for the Group 7 members, you guys visited 4 countries in Central and South America.
Yes.
And they are Panama, Peru, Paraguay, and Guatemala.
Yes.
All right? We're going to talk to the two of you about each of the 4 countries a little later in the program.
Yes.
But first, let me ask you, I understand that you guys received a 6-week intensive training before you went on this overseas trip. Tell us a little bit about the training. What were you guys trained for? I mean, were you trained in English? I understand that Joe speaks a little bit of Spanish, and then what are some of the courses? Can you share with us, Phoebe?
Mainly, we have a lot of performance courses for the stage performance, and beside the performance courses, we also have some English class and politics class and something about international manners. And because we are going to visit Latin America, but we also have Spanish class.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And how about you, Joe? What was your impression of this 6-week intensive training?
Yes, actually, this 6 weeks we mainly training about our body, like it's for the performance. And so for us, like we have never been into such classes, so it's very tough for us.
Yeah, Joe, you did a documentary.
Yeah.
May I ask, what was the motivation? What prompted you to do a documentary on the training course?
Okay, actually, I did 2 documentaries.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
for each 3 weeks, we made a documentary. And I think the motivation is very obvious because we will only be youth ambassador once in a lifetime. So I think it's very important to record every moment we have lived. And besides, many of our families or friends actually have very little idea about what youth ambassadors do. So I hope through the videos they can know better about our works.
Oh, yeah, your responsibilities. Okay. And have you done documentary films before?
Actually, no.
No, that was the first.
Yes.
And then is it being posted online as people can watch it?
Yes,
Okay.
I post it on YouTube.
How do we find it?
Just post 拉美二团.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
in Chinese.
Yes,
Okay,
in
good.
Chinese.
And let me ask the two of you, what was the part of the training program that you felt that better prepare you as international youth ambassadors? Is it because of the language training? Is it because of the performance training? Is it because of the political training that let you understand a little better about our allies and friends in Latin America? What was that part of the training that really made a difference for you as an international youth ambassador? Joe?
Well, I think the most important part of this training is that we live all together this 6 weeks, so we can like share with other partners our ideas and our toughness and everything. So that makes us like a family. So then when we visit our other countries, then we can show our group spirit. Yes.
Okay, all right. And how about you, Phoebe? What was the part that you felt was most useful?
I think there's 2 parts. The first part is just like Joe mentioned, like we have to train together for the performance. And the performance is not just because of physically, also mentally. Like you have to pull yourself, like we have to do many stretch. And we have also like, you need another partner to help you, to push you to the limit. And also it also train your willpower. Like you have to stand in the end.
Exactly.
And the other part is every group have an ambassador with us, and he will come every week with us, and he will share his experiences in Latin America, and he will also introduce those 3 countries with us. So I think that 2 parts really help us.
All right. And not just documentary, a film about the training session. I also understand that you guys had a song.
Yeah.
Yes.
A group 7 song.
Yes.
What was the song all about?
For our group, it's all the lines is about our each member. Like Phoebe is very sweet or something like that, and the song is composed of that. And also record some unique memories for our group. Like we have played some games together, or we have visited some places together.
All right. So you did the lyrics, and somebody else did the melody.
Yes.
All right. And overall, did you think the 6-week training program was a time for you guys to better prepare for what was coming next, which was a 21-day visit to the 4 countries, or was this something better to develop a better friendship with your fellow members? Was it a combination of both? Phoebe?
I think this 6 week is the more important for us, because you have to like stay together the following 21 days, and you have to do your mission. Like you have works to do. We are not to play there. So it's really important that you gather you have to bond your friendship together. And I think Yes, that's the most important part.
All right. And for you, Joe, did you think that, forging that bond with your fellow, members, international youth ambassadors, was also important or equally important, in addition to the performance training, language training that you received?
Yes, but I think through the training for the performance, we have also gathered our heart together.
All right.
Yes, because it's very tough for everyone, and then we have time to share the toughness. Yes, and it's also really helped us a lot.
Right.
So when we visit other places, they can see us with very warm heart to them.
Good. And before we end the first part of the program, let me ask the two of you, how did you learn about the International Youth Ambassador Program? I mean, somebody told you about it, or did you find out through school, or how did you find out, Joe?
Well, last year I have some friends that were youth ambassadors,
okay,
and so that encouraged me.
They recommended.
Yes.
All right. And how about you, Phoebe?
And for me, at first I was really interested, in diplomat, and I was sometimes I will look on the website of the MOFA.
Okay.
And then I also have a classmate that joined this program last year.
Okay.
Yes.
So he or she also told you about
yes.
it. Good. And the two of you were giving us an overall background about the program itself and also the training that you received. Next, we're going to talk about the 21-day visit that you guys had to the 4 countries in Central and South America. First, the theme of this year's International Youth Ambassador from Taiwan is the youth from Taiwan and compassion for all. And also there were 2 specific issues that were emphasized in the theme, which is humanitarianism and also sustainable development. Can the two of you, either one, elaborate with us what was the message that you would like to convey to the youth and the people in the 4 countries that you have visited? Either one, maybe, Joe?
Okay, well, I think the most important message that we want to convey is love.
Okay.
Yes,
good.
And through visiting them with an embrace or a kiss,
okay.
And I think it's a very warm heart to show that.
All right. And the 2 issues, humanitarianism and also sustainable development, are very important issues, especially for the young people, not just in Taiwan, but all over the world. Were those 2 issues, discussed among all the international youth ambassadors, and people felt these 2 are very pressing issues and concerns for the young people of Taiwan? Is that how the 2 issues were decided?
Because of the organization that responsible for this this program this year is NGO. So that's why they are want to emphasize the youth from Taiwan compassion for all.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
to
that
share
was
our love.
Okay. To show your love and representing the youth and the energy from Taiwan.
Yes.
And we understand that you have visited, Guatemala as your first stop. What was your impression? I don't suppose that either one of you have visited Guatemala before the trip, right? What was your impression?
For me, the first impression is the weather there is very, very beautiful and very, very comfortable. There are 4 seasons like spring, and at that time, actually, in Taiwan, it's very, very hot. It's in summer. So when we get off the airplane and we are just, oh my God, the weather is so wonderful and the people is really, really friendly.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how about you, Joe?
Actually, I have visited there before.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes, but
were you there for tourist reasons?
Yes, just for tour reasons.
Okay, all right.
Yes, but this time I feel much more love, because the last time I was just going to travel, and this time I was visiting people. Good. So I think this is very important for us to share the kindness and share the friendship with the local people there.
All right, and you also went to Peru, of course, and you have visited, many charitable organizations and also orphanage.
Yes.
One of which that you visited was so-called the SOS Children's Village. Can you tell us a little bit about what is so special about this particular orphanage? Okay.
Well, yes, and this children's village is very special. It's not like the normal orphanage that put all the children together. It's like separate like 7 or less children in one house, and each house they will offer a mother to them.
Okay.
So like they are really a family there. So I think it's very helpful for the children to grow healthily because they have a normal family there to support them.
Okay, so that is one big difference that we have seen over there. How about for the two of you, for other charitable organizations or institutions that you have visited? Were there any stories that you can share with us?
In Guatemala, we visit an organization that hide in a community, and it's for the women who suffered from sexual violence.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and some of them are very, very young, and they even have child and kids.
Okay.
And you can see that maybe they, most of them like 14 or 15 years only.
And they are already a mother.
They are already a mother. And the most, like, I can clearly remember right now is when we are talking to the executive there, and she's trying to, like, introduce how the organization run and where are those girls come from. And there's one of girls beside us and holding her daughter there, and she can totally understand Spanish, right? And there's another translator to translate English to us, and also the executive like talking about that girl's story, and the girl just start crying, and because she just got kidnapped for 3 months, and therefore she has a kids, and her lovely daughter is in her hug and like crying too, like mama, mama, and hug back, and all of her like cry and drop out tears, and you can imagine that how they are going to live in their rest of life, because every time they saw their children, it's like a reminder to remind what happened to them. Yes.
All right. And how about you, Joe? Any stories that you can share?
Yes. Also, the one we visited is very impression for me, but I want to share the other one that is in Paraguay. We visit a nursing house. Okay. And there we saw a lot of old people there, and that day was a very cold day. So every old people is like holding each other, because they are very cold, but they still walking out to see our performance. Okay. And in the end, one of the old people, she wanted to speak out because she wanted to show her appreciation to us. And I was thinking, oh, how embarrassing! We didn't do anything for you, but we can receive such appreciation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Joe, I have a question for you. I understand that when you guys were in Guatemala, you participated in an activity called planting your own tree. Can you tell us a little bit about what the purpose of the activity was and what was the message?
Yes, actually that was held by the youth, like organization of youth of Guatemala, and they wanted to preserve the trees and the park of the country. And so they showed us all the planting they have been doing. And in the end, they help us, they teach us how to plant a tree. Good. And so that, to me, that was a very impressive part, because we are so close to the youth from Guatemala, and we share a lot of things together. And in the end, it was very touching. So to see a tree with our own name. Good. Yes, all and not only me is exciting. All the other youth that we walked together were very exciting for us.
Yes, and also planting a tree is consistent with one of the themes that we mentioned, which is sustainable development. Okay. And next, Phoebe, we understand that you're very athletic, and then you have actually, participated, in 2 sporting events when you were, there visiting. One of them is called the Maya Ball Game. Yes. You actually participated in terms of watching
I just watched, and that's a performance.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And the second is woodball.
Yes.
Which is something invented by Taiwan.
Yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about that experience of exchanging with youth of, the locals, the local people, through sports.
Actually, that was the first time that we see Maya ball game.
Okay.
And that ball game is from the Aboriginal people there in Latin America. And at the old time, when they are going to fight for the land, they are not launching a war, but instead they have a sport game. Yes. And before this sport game, because they worship to the nature beauty and the nature mother, they respect the nature mother. So they also have a ceremony before the sports game.
Good.
So that was a really, really unique one. Telling you, if you are going to fight a land, you don't have to launch a war, you don't have to bleed. Instead, you can have a sports game to compete fairly.
Right.
And the other part is our woodball game.
Woodball.
Yes, we also have a competition with the youth in Paraguay.
Okay.
Yes, and that was invented in Taiwan, and it's just like a game like in golf.
Yes.
Yes, it's similar to golf, but there are some differences between the rules, and the woodball can play on the grassland and sodland, and there's so many different kind of rules. And the goal gate is designed from the wine bottle from Taiwan as well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So was that something that you learned how to play while you were there? Was it something that you pick up while you were, training in Taiwan?
Yes, we had some courses about this in Taiwan, like introduce what is woodball and woodball and what is how are you going to play it, and we actually play it when we are training.
All right, and I understand that there were also some adjustments culturally that you have to make while you were there. One of it is because the language difficulties. Yes. We understand that Joe speaks Spanish, and then Phoebe, you don't.
Yes.
And then, but that's okay, and English is a universal language, but maybe some of the locals do not. But you felt that, at times you have to use your body language.
Yes.
Try to communicate.
Yes.
And sometimes you felt embarrassed.
Yes.
Why was the case?
Because at first, when I know I'm going to visit Latin America, and then I comfort myself, okay, I can speak Spanish. Okay. That's okay. I can speak English, right?
All right. Yes.
Then when I was there, just like the plan, how to plan your trip activity, and that at that occasion you are going to separate. Like every ambassador, you have to separate to each group. Like I'm alone with the all local people, and then can speak English very well, and I can understand very little, like some of the words. So you are going to use your body language and also some Chinese, and you can say, I want to know what is this. Like you can say in Chinese, like this is su, and what is in Spanish. Then they can a little bit understand. Oh, you are asking about the tree, how to speak in Spanish, and you have to think to find some way to communicate with them, try to have some little games or some to show you want to learn Spanish to them.
All right.
Yes.
And I really think it's a lot of credit to Joe because you're able to pick up a third, language, not just Chinese and then English only. What was the reason for you to learn Spanish, if I may ask?
Well, actually, because I was also interested in
diplomacy, yes.
So I wanted to learn the third language, and I think many of Taiwan's
young people,
want.
Also want to learn.
Yeah, and before entering the university, I went to Mexico for exchange program.
Good for you.
That's why I learned Spanish.
You pick up Spanish.
Yes.
Good. Let me ask you, Guatemala, since it was the first place that you visited on the 21-day trip, what was your overall impression of the country?
Well, actually, before visiting the countries, we didn't really realize that what we're going to do in this program. So Guatemala to us is like impression. It's all surprise. And also the ambassador there is very, very nice to us. He invited us to their house, and we have visiting many places like Antigua and many things else. So that and also there was a camera man, and he was very, very nice to us. So all the experience in Guatemala to us is very unique and very impressive.
How long were you in Guatemala out of the 21 days?
6 days.
6 days. So that really prepared you, for the next and the following destinations. Let's talk a little bit about your visit to Antigua.
Antigua.
Yes, it's a beautiful place. Everybody knows.
Yes.
And then what was your impression and feeling afterwards?
And it's really, really beautiful. And before we visited there, the ambassador that tell us about this place, he said it's the huge, like the biggest scale of the ancient places in Latin America. So it's really worth to visit it there. So we are all very, very looking forward to it. And actually, that ancient city is built in 16th century by the Spanish there, and it's surrounded by the volcanoes. And you can see our photos that there's a really live volcano there, just right beside us. It's surrounded by the volcano, and there also has some earthquake. Then I remember is sometime there is a really serious earthquake. Then the city was broke, and they have to move to another city. So Antigua, this in Spanish is the meaning of the old city, old capital city in English. Yes, and that is very, very beautiful. That's the only one like the tourist place we have visited in Guatemala. Yes.
After Guatemala, you went to Panama.
Yes.
Right. And Panama, of course, is a very important country in Central America. And what was your impression, the two of you? What was your first impression of Panama?
Well, actually, after leaving Guatemala, we were all crying because we have a lot of emotion there in Guatemala. So to us, it's like, oh my God, we're not ready for the next destination. But when we arrived there, it was all surprise because we always see as the tall building. It's not like the Latin American that we have impression. Yeah, so it was very surprised to see all these, and you can see there's a lot of boats or something like that in the sea. So we can see that it's a very progressive country.
Yes, and Phoebe, how do you compare the two places that you have visited? Guatemala and Panama.
I think the people people is the more direct feelings you can feel, and the people there is compared to Guatemala. In Guatemala, we will wave to people like we are sitting in the bus, but we will wave to the local people like, hi, and all the people are so friendly, like say hi, like on the street. Yes, but in Panama is totally different. There, so you can feel they are more caught. They are not that friendly to you. It's more like more modern city, and you can see old buildings like surrounding you.
And let me ask you about the experiences in the four countries. There must have been something that you had to make adjustment for. One thing that comes to mind, other than language, is food. All right. But I heard somebody said that Guatemala has the best coffee in the world. And why? And what was your, what was the evidence that you had the best coffee in the world in Guatemala?
Actually, that's a pretty normal occasion because that is our first meal in Guatemala. And in Guatemala, we are like staying in the hotel run by Taiwanese. And the owner is going to give the first meal, so we are really looking for it because this is our first foreigner meal there, right? And then we have the cup of coffee. It's really like normal there. The local people are just like, okay, this is just a cup of coffee, but there's we have lots of members like really into coffee, and we also drink in Taiwan, and we can tell it's totally different from Taiwan because when we test the coffee is Americano, and it's bitter, but it will like you can taste the sweetness afterward.
Okay.
Yes.
And how about the food in the 4 places? You know, the Latin American food is very different from the food you're accustomed to in Taiwan. Was that something that you had to make a big adjustment for?
Well,
Joe?
actually, in Paraguay and Peru, we have tried much more local food there.
Okay.
So to me, the Paraguay food is very, very special.
Okay.
The chipas, the chipas and cocino. Chipa is like a bread, and because Paraguay people is not very rich, so the chipas is like a very small bread, but inside is it contains a lot of carton, and so that will feed us very full.
Right.
So it actually tastes nothing, but it's very like when you eat that, you will feel very warm. And beside it is the cocino. Cocino is like our milk tea. So when we drink it, it's like, oh, I'm back to Taiwan. It's like a bubble tea, you know.
Yes, exactly. And I also learned that when you guys had the opportunity, you know, being invited by the local Taiwanese business people to have, you know, stinky tofu or aromatic tofu.
Yes.
And it was, you know, occasion for people to get homesick, right?
Yes.
You know, what was going through your mind?
Actually, that occasion is like after our stage performance, and because when we have stage performance, we have less time to eat. So,
of course.
Sometimes we just have some cookies, and afterward the Taiwanese in local like said, "I know you guys are starving. Let's go eat some big meals." So they bring us to a Chinese restaurant. So we are just testing all the Taiwanese food there, and we are just
wonderful.
Oh yes, really wonderful, and you feel like you come back to Taiwan because all around is Taiwanese, and they're speaking Taiwanese as well. Then at the end, they bring some of the boxes. Like, I know you guys are been visiting abroad for a really long time, right? You are really miss Taiwan.
Yeah,
I know.
homesick.
Yeah, so they bring some instant noodles and also some stinky tofu, and that's really an impression for us because how you can find a stinky tofu in Latin America? That's impossible.
Yes. So that was, you know, wonderful surprise.
Yes.
Yes. How about you, Joe? I mean, were there anything that, in terms of food, that really surprised you? And then how about your experience having stinky tofu?
Well, actually, it was because of our show. Our show have a part that is introducing the stinky tofu, and we even made a song for that. So after making so many performances, we really wanted to try the stinky tofu. So when we saw stinky tofu in real, it's like, oh my God, we need to try it.
And also the bubble tea.
Bubble tea.
Yes.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about your performance. You know, we understand you have to do many things. You know, the indigenous people's dance, and people have to do other, you know, skill, you know, performance. And what was the performance, as far as you can remember, that the local people responded most favorably to? Was it because the dance you performed? Was it because the songs, or because of other things? Do you remember?
Okay.
Joe?
Well, besides the stage performance, we also made a lot of small performance when we visit every destination.
Okay.
And so, like, I think the most impressive one to them is like the kung fu things, or the traditional music of Taiwan, or the local songs for them, the Spanish song. And when we perform the Spanish song, we all of us will stand on the stage and also invite all the people there to dance together or and sing together. So I think it's the warmest part of our performances.
Okay, and the final question I want to ask is Phoebe, regarding the experience that you had performing at the National, you know, Grand Theater in Peru, which sits about 1,500 people. That is quite sizable.
Yes.
All right. What was the feeling, and what was your impression?
And the first, like we have to rehearsal like before the performance for sure.
Okay.
So when we arrive there, I stand on stage, I would say, "Wow, this place is so huge! Like it's just like in the movie. Yeah. In the movie, there's so many seats, and just like there is some little room, like there's some princess or prince will sit there,
okay.
And all you can see is the whole space is gold. It's real gold.
Really?
Like, that's a real gold because the workers there, we are amazed about that, and we are just saying, hey, you see, it's gold.
Yeah.
Then he told, don't even to touch that. It's a real gold.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
And that's really impressed. And at the first time I stand on the stage, I ask myself, what did I do?
Yes.
As a finance student, you can stand on this stage, this kind of stage, performance to other 1,000 more people, to them, to introduce Taiwan, to introduce Taiwan's culture and love.
Okay, yeah, because the two of you are well qualified to represent the young people in Taiwan, to be on the international stage, okay? And I want to ask the two of you, maybe particularly Joe, one thing that people often say about Central and South America is because of the, in addition to the, economic difficulties, but also political instability. And that's why, because of, scandal and corruption charges, that the people of Guatemala, elected a new president, just about the time that you were arriving.
Yeah.
And then, so apparently, you guys were the first, foreign visitors or delegation, to be received by the president. Tell us a little bit about that experience of meeting for the first time the newly elected president of Guatemala.
Okay, first of all, I think it was very honored to be there. Just like Phoebe has mentioned, what do we do to get some that much appreciation from them? Okay. And also, it's very, we felt very grateful for the embassy of Guatemala have done for us. And beside of that, personally, I was very impressive for the newly selected president because before then we were always think about Guatemala is in a very difficult situation in politics, and so maybe there's a lot of scandals with every politician.
Yes.
But the president has shown his humorous and also the wisdom of working. Okay. So he has, and also share his embassy for its future of Guatemala. It's like he really wanted to do something for this country, and it's also reflected to us. Although we are only the youth ambassadors, but we also want to do something for our country. Exactly. So I think it's very impressive one.
Okay, and we also understand that when you guys were about to be meeting some of the foreign dignitaries and things, what were some of the things that you said to each other, prior to meeting these foreign dignitaries? Some of them were president, some of them were ministers and things. Was that something that you felt really benefit everybody in the delegation in terms of meeting these political and economic, leaders of the different countries? What was your impression?
Just like other people know that the Taiwan situation in diplomat is very difficult.
Yes.
But as a youth ambassador, we are be able to see the president or see some important politics. It's for us. It's really impression. It's very important too, because also our ambassador told us that. Generally to say that maybe this governor or president won't see the adults ambassador to see them, but because we are youth ambassadors, so they are willing to see us and to talk to us, especially just like Joe say, the president the new president of Guatemala, and he also have a video to show us that you have to devote for your country, to love your country, to support and to give everything you can to do for the country when you are a youth. Yes, I think yes, I think that's the biggest influence to me.
All right, and I want to talk to the two of you and Phoebe in particular about a very touching experience that the delegation had in Paraguay. Because one of the youth ambassadors is of Taiwanese and Brazilian descent.
Yes.
And the mother is originally from Brazil. She hasn't seen the son for many years.
Yes.
And then this time when the delegation traveled to Paraguay, the mother flew all the way from Brazil to meet with the delegation, of course, meet with the son, who she hasn't seen for many years. And tell us a little bit about that very touching experience when the mother and son met for the first time in a long time.
Because that member named Victor, actually he's like really hiding his feeling in his heart, like because we
trying to hold back.
Trying to hold back because we're asking him like, are you serious? Like, are you very excited or are you afraid of to meet your mother again? Because there's like 6 or 7 years they haven't seen each other. Yeah, they haven't seen each other, and since Paraguay and Brazil is just like the like they are besides country. So his mother come to see her and see him, and even though because the ambassador knew that, and he even gave Victor a chance to give a speech before our state performance. And he speak a lot of what he said makes our members cry in the backstage for sure, even though the performance is not started. Yes. Everyone just cried because it's really touching, and he thanks, just like every one of us, thanks his mom to give everything for him and to make him grow up like this and be the ambassador of Taiwan, to stand on the stage to introduce Taiwan to everyone. And he also speaks some language in Brazil is Portuguese. Yes. And to his mother, and his older cry.
Well, I mean, what was the reaction from other members, when they sing something like this? And this is, of course, not rehearsed, not planned. It just happened. And so in terms of being an international youth ambassador, did the experience really enlighten all of you? In terms of, like you said, the message is, love on the trip. You want to share the compassion, the love that you have for the other youth around the world. And so did you think that the experiences that you have accumulated on this trip really achieve that specific objective that you have set up for the exchange program? Joe?
Well, actually, when I applied for this program, I didn't set any goal for that. I was just thinking, I can go to 4 countries for free and something like that. But after attending this program, beside the training and all the trip to the 4 countries, I feel like completed. Because in my whole life, I was just like searching for some goals to do for the society or something. And after this trip, I think I can see a human being can be a lot. I mean, we can do even just a hug. If we do that, we can help people to feel warm or to feel better. And so why not doing that in my whole life? Not only in other countries, we can also do it in Taiwan. And beside of this, and it's also a grown-up for the love to Taiwan. Even though I always say I love Taiwan, but after this trip, I think it's really I love Taiwan. I want to do something for this country. I want to represent our country to do more things for the world.
Good. And how about you, Phoebe? What were some of the lessons that you have learned by being an international youth ambassador from Taiwan?
I think just like Joe said, because before I have this program, if you ask me, do you love Taiwan? Then maybe I say, okay, maybe I love Taiwan.
Yes.
I love Taiwan, but I won't like say I really love Taiwan. But after this program, I can say I really love Taiwan because the program's goal is you are going to share your love from Taiwan, right?
Yes.
But actually, come back from the four countries, I can see Taiwan is really, really good. And there are some difficulties for the foreign country, but at the same time, we share our love to Taiwan, and also we see our Taiwan, our own country, is really, really beautiful and really, really hopeful. Like I have many things wants to do for Taiwan and for the world. Like I want to help the people and help the women like who suffered from the sexual violence. Yes, from the world. I want to help them. I want to help the orphans to education, something like that.
Okay.
I want to add up something.
Please.
Yes, like we have mentioned all the time that Taiwan is in a very difficult situation in diplomacy, but through this visit to these countries, I can see that many countries of them, many people of these countries are very thankful for Taiwan. Yes. Not only us, because of all the aids that we have given to them. Yes. So even though Taiwan is not that very good at politics, but I think we have a good heart to help the world. And so I think this good heart will be seen by all the world, and they will appreciate it, and that will help Taiwan to find a place in this world.
Okay, and finally, if there are other younger people watching our program today, and they enjoy your conversation and say that, hey, maybe 1 or 2 years later, I want to be an international youth ambassador as well. What would be that one suggestion that you want to give it to them? Phoebe?
I would say you have to empty all you have right now and just be well prepared for that. And the most important thing is you have to share your love. Okay. Ready for share your love, not from your country, just from your own to all the world.
Okay. And Joe?
I would say just insist to the end.
Okay. And continue. Don't give up.
Yeah, never get up.
All right. It's truly been a pleasure to have the two of you on the program today. Certainly one of which your experience has helped you to broaden your horizon and sort of expanded your vision as well, and certainly qualify, youth like the two of you will represent Taiwan in the future and very well in different stages at different levels. Thank you, both of you, very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.